Alright, welcome back to Mr. JDM. Today we're going to remove the transmission from the block. I have to remove the little plate that covers the flywheel because with an automatic transmission you can't just pull the transmission directly off. There's, I think it's called a flex plate that is bolted to the torque converter. So we have to unscrew that and then we can pull the transmission off. So we have to get this plate off right here. It's like you got two, three, well there's three 10 mil bolts right here and then two on the other side. Alright, now that that's off, we have these bolts right here that screw into from the flex plate into the torque converter. And then you have to rotate it to get to the other ones. Alright, we got all of those bolts out of there. So now we're going to drop the whole engine down, unbolt the transmission, and then we can slide the transmission off. Alright, we got the transmission down, or we got the engine down. We're going to remove the starter. I've already loosened them. We got that bolt up there, and then there's one down here. I'm not sure you even really have to remove that, but I'm sure it helps. I know on manual transmissions, the starter bolts, one of them holds the bell housing to the engine block, but these bolts are pretty short. I don't think it does that on the automatics. Alright, now we have one in the back of the engine right here. We've got one there, one here. It's up underneath this. There's one there, one there. And I think on the underside there is one. So we're going to get that one first. We'll have to raise it up again. Alright, so after raising the engine, there's not one underneath. I was thinking there was, because I think on the manual transmissions there is one that's kind of over here or over in this area. I don't really remember, but we just have this one on this side, and then the rest are on the top. And my block of wood that I had up here split in half. Like, I was starting to jack it up and it split. Thank God I didn't have it all the way up, because then it would have fallen and the transmission might have broke, and that would have sucked. Alright, so I've got a block of wood that goes underneath here, and that holds the oil pan, and then I put the dolly underneath the transmission. That way I could just hopefully slide it out without too much trouble. Now we're going to remove these bolts. And because of the transmission lines, you'll need an extension. Alright, now we're going to zip those off with my drill, and we should be able to pull the transmission out. Now we'll take a screwdriver and wedge it down between the two and try to pry it off. Well, that just pretty much fell out. It didn't quite work out with my dolly, but it didn't drop very far and it just kind of slid. So transmission should be okay. All right, we got the transmission on a dolly, and I would say between the transmission and the engine, that transmission weighs probably 2/3 of what it does together, because that thing weighs a ton. All right, so there are things I need to pull off this block, like this flex plate thing. We'll need that on the new engine because this is for an automatic. And if you remember, one of these bolts I'm gonna need, and I'm gonna try to take the water pump off of this engine and stick it on the other one. It probably won't fit, but you know, I'm gonna try. And then we have mounts like this one for the alternator, the power steering bracket, and then the bottom mount, that's actually the torque mount as well. That's for the AC compressor. And then of course the hoses we're gonna need, but everything else I think is able to stay. We are gonna try to clean up this engine a little bit better than what it is before we get it all back together. But I think I'm gonna focus on getting all this stuff pulled off of this engine first. All right, let's get this flex plate off. And these are 17 millimeter. All right, now we're gonna get this off. Maybe. We gotta stop it from rotating. So I have this Honda tool, but I don't know where it's at. It's not in the box. It goes into the crank pulley. That way you can stop it from rotating. Let me dig around, try to find it. All right, so we found it, and you just stick another, what do you call it, strong arm to wedge it, and then we should be able to turn it. It probably won't turn though, I don't know. All right, we got the crank pulley off, and I know I've said this a million times that you don't want to lose this thing. The Woodruff key, I think that's how you say it. All right, let's get this cover off. All right, let's get the bracket off here, the power steering bracket, and the, what do you call it, the alternator bracket off. All right, and now the only thing left is the water, or the oil pump. The oil pump actually has studs. And so I'm gonna have to remove the whole oil pan. I'd like to put it on an engine stand, but I don't really have one available. So I'm just gonna raise it up with the engine stand and, you know, unscrew everything so I can get to the oil pump. All right, we got the engine jacked up pretty high, so I'm able to get to all the oil pan bolts. Not really going to show it just because, and all the bolts are pretty clear on where they're at. So We're gonna get that removed and get the oil pump removed. All right, we got all of the bolts out of the oil pan. Now we're gonna pry it off. Now let's get that oil pump removed. I need to remove the pickup off of it first. Check this out. There's pieces of a bearing, I think, in the pickup. I think that's what it is. All right, we got the oil pump off. All right, so check this out. The oil pumps, that's the Y7, and this is the B8, the D15 B8. They are identical. They'll mount right up. The only difference is, you see the gear right there? That mounts to the crank right here, and this one has like 2 notches. This one, it's not notched, it's just all the way across, but it lines right up. Everything is fine. So we're able to use our crank sensor. Now the oil dipstick is right here on this one, so I don't know if that's going to make a difference, or I don't know. Let's see if the lower timing cover fits. I mean, it kind of does. It's missing a bolt hole there, and the one right inside there. There'd be a hole here and a hole right there. So I don't know. We might be able to use it. Let's get this lowered down before it decides to fail. All right, let's see if the water pump fits. No, it does not. There's a pretty big difference there. I mean, all the bolt holes line up, but it's longer right in this area right here. Here's the 2 water pumps. This is the Y7. This is the D15 B8. And as you can see over here, it's longer. It sticks out further. So this water pump will not work. I've always wondered why it has this extra bit on here, because the belt doesn't go on this section. Nothing does. So what's this even for? All right, well, the Y7 oil pump does fit on there, so we're able to use the crank sensor. So that's important. That'll be an engine light that we won't have to worry about. Now, as far as the port right here, I think what I want to do is just thread it and put a bolt in there. I mean, it makes sense. But I'm definitely have to clean this up really good, and I definitely want to port it out like I did this other one. Port the hole out. And so we're going to do that on a whole nother video. Or actually, since I've already done it, I'm not going to put it in the video. Alright, just to recap, we got the transmission off of the Y7 block. We've got everything off of this block that we need to transfer to this block, and we learned something. The Y7, Y8, same oil pump, will fit on a D15 B8 block. Alright, so I'm going to end this video here. But we got some progress done, not a whole lot. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get the engine together. We'll get the head on the block. Oh yeah, one more thing. Because the bolt is broke off inside there, I need to go Home Depot tomorrow and get some more drill bits, because the ones I have won't, I mean, they're so dull. So I'm going to drill this out like pretty good. And then I'm going to take a small drill bit and drill holes upwards, over here, and downward. And I've got these blazing rods, aluminum blazing rods, and I'm going to fill the hole in completely with this stuff. And then I'm going to drill and retap this hole, because that really is the best way to do it. I don't have a TIG welder, so I can't weld aluminum. That would probably be the best option, but I think these will work, because you know, this engine's not going to get 700 degrees, or the block, not in this section at least. And so I think with drilling holes upwards or at an angle and down, that the aluminum will melt into the holes and it will hold it tighter. And honestly, from what I've watched on YouTube, these things do a pretty damn good job. And so we're going to try this out and fill the hole, sand it flush, and then re-drill the hole and retap it for the screw. That's what we're going to do tomorrow. Alright, so yes, we didn't accomplish a lot today, but you know, a little bit of progress is better than no progress at all. So with that being said, I really appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate your support, and I will see you all in the next video.